But please hear me out. Fairly recently, I watched a video by a channel called Neat on the Rocks titled "You Should Become a YouTuber or Artist/Creator." Now, no disrespect, but really the only reason why I watched the video in the first place was because it would not leave my recommended alone. But when I actually sat down to watch it, I thought it was a very well made video that had a lot of great points and surely inspired someone else out there to give this whole content creation thing a shot. However, that video actually got me to think about something completely unrelated. I've been making content on this platform for 2.5 years at this point, and have been a viewer on this platform for much longer than that. And while I'm pretty sure I could have graduated from Harvard with the amount of time I've spent watching these damn videos, I have never, not even for a second, considered the fact that making content on this platform was a form of art. I mean, was it art? Does being a YouTuber really make you an artist? Am I an artist? Yeah, that was probably a bit more shocking the first time around, but I do still genuinely believe that there's a lot of value in analyzing why. I am fully aware of the stigma associated with being a content creator in general. We're already not taken very seriously in the real world, so explaining why what we do is considered art is probably going to turn a lot of heads. However, especially when writing the scripts and editing the videos yourself, you start to see the similarities being a YouTuber has to other forms of art a lot easier. There are obviously still things that are different, but the central core of what makes an engaging and thought-provoking YouTube video is all based in the essence of art. So, with all of that being said, what is art? I've always believed that the definition of art is something that's almost always subjective. Everyone has their own criteria for what makes a certain thing art, and at least to me, that's always been one of the beautiful things about it. Different things speak to different people in different ways, and I believe that's the thing that's allowed for people to get so attached to them. Now, the reason why I'm saying this to you is because this is all going to be based off of my criteria for what art is. There are quite a few things that go into my perception of art, and defining where YouTube fits into all of this won't really make much sense unless I give you the point of reference that I go by. But with all that being said, I've always believed that a core pillar of art is being able to express yourself. It doesn't matter if you're the person making it or the person consuming it. Being able to use something to outwardly express emotions and feelings is what gives art a sense of power. It very much is the reason for why many people, myself included, form such a strong emotional connection to them and hold them in such high regard even to this day. But even though I said all of that, I don't think I've heard of a single person saying that they were emotionally attached to a YouTube video before. But even still, one of the very principles for why the site was created was as an outlet for people to express themselves, express their interests, and for better and for worse, express their opinions. Whether it's opinions on music, opinions on video games, like me, opinions on the news and drama, or opinions on politics. But we don't have to get into that. In the interest of fairness, this is all from the creator's perspective. If you are someone who is watching the videos primarily, you don't really necessarily have as much room to express yourself. But honestly, I feel like the comment section is all you really need. For pretty much as long as it has existed, it's always provided a place for people to just talk. Now, whether or not the comment section is a safe or good place to be is an entirely different conversation, but my point is, whether you're a creator or a consumer, expression is something that is regularly exercised on this platform, and because of that, at least to me, it's one of the reasons why I consider it art. But what really is art without having a dash of creativity? It's commonly agreed upon that creativity and art go hand in hand, and I believe that art should exercise someone's creative muscles in some form or fashion. It's also one of the things that make it fun, at least in my opinion, because I find it fun to come up with a concept or an idea for something and find ways to develop and execute the idea while making it look exactly like how I imagined it. Again, as someone who has been making content on this platform for a decent amount of time, I can say that approximately 90% of the video making process is just fishing for ideas. Not even joking. For thumbnails, I have to come up with ideas for designs that are not only pleasing to the eyes, but also stands out enough from the pack in order for people to want to watch it. Writing scripts is almost entirely me just sitting on my bed thinking about ways in which I can word my claims to make them sound good and make sense. And while I'm editing videos, I'm constantly coming up with ideas for visual gags and sketches that may or may not be funny, as well as brainstorming ideas for how I want to visually showcase what I'm talking about to the viewer. Hopefully, I don't have to explain how coming up with ideas is inherently creative, but I really want to emphasize the fact that a lot of the video making process is really just coming up with one idea and executing that concept to perfection, or at least in the way that you envisioned it. And now that I mention it, the only time I'm not coming up with ideas when making a YouTube video is when I'm recording gameplay footage. So have fun knowing that the footage that you're seeing right now had literally no thought put into it. Now, the last point that I want to make about creativity on YouTube is that animation channels exist. I win, the end. But actually, I want to use the animation community as a bit of an alleyway to talk about what is probably the biggest thing that I use to determine if something's art. God, I suck at wording things. The craft. Because think about this, right? What makes a good storytime animation? What makes a good video essay? Or let's play? Or reaction? In everything that I believe to be artistic, there's always some sort of craft or skill ceiling that every creator strives for. My go-to example of this will always be rap/hip-hop. Even if you aren't a fan of the genre, it seems like everybody knows what makes a good rap song and a good rapper. But when you really dig deeper into the genre, there are some really technical techniques and practices that can really push an artist into being one of the absolute best. Any rapper can make a good song, but very few can make the perfect song. And I've always thought that that same mentality extends to virtually any genre of content. Now, obviously I don't know every creator's ambitions or motivations for the content that they make, but from my perspective with the creators that I follow, they all hold a sense of pride in their work and are constantly looking to make their content even better and further refine their craft. It's the kind of thing that allows YouTube to be a place of consistent growth. I look back at the first couple of videos of creators that I've been following for years, and seeing where a lot of them are now and witnessing the growth that they've seen over all those years, it really just brings a smile on my face. I would even go as far to argue that striving for improvement is what makes someone an artist. I genuinely don't know how you could keep going through the trials and tribulations of creating something if you didn't have that passion to make it better. You know, not to keep hogging all the attention, but personally speaking, getting better is something that I'm always seeking. It's very possible that you're watching this video right now and binge the other 32 videos that I've made and are very confused by that statement. However, I'd like to think that I am putting a good faith effort into making my content better with each passing video. There have been a few hiccups here and there, but over the years, I found that I don't think I'll ever be 100% satisfied with the quality of my content. Which sounds like a bad thing, but it's actually something that continuously keeps me motivated, and it's really thanks to this mentality that's allowed me to self-identify as a content creator. To me, like, that word has nothing to do with if this is your job or if you make any income from it, and has everything to do with the passion and if you truly love what you're putting out into the world. And I may not be a very successful creator or a very good creator, but I'm still a creator. And at the end of the day, that's all you really need to be considered an artist. But all of this brings me to the last thing on my art criteria, and this is the concept that I feel is appropriate to end the entire video with. Inspiration. I've always felt like the best thing an artist can do is inspire someone to do something creative, mainly because it's the thing that really keeps that creative chain going. It's something that I feel keeps creativity thriving and allows more room for it to evolve. To put it simply, I just think it's a very special thing when someone gets inspired, and when it comes to sparking inspiration, I would argue that no other place does it as easily as YouTube. I'm gonna speak from personal experience again, but I've been inspired by hundreds of YouTubers on this platform, and even though I am largely a gaming-centered creator, and most of my early inspirations were gaming-centered as well, I've dabbled into a little bit of everything over the years. I've taken inspiration from people who do the polar opposite of what I do, and have watched videos that have really resonated with me, and spoke to me and actually got me to think. But going back to those early years, the primary reason for why I wanted to do this was because it just seemed doable. Sure, even back then, I knew that creating a Let's Play channel or any gaming-centered channel was going to be a lot of work, but I felt that motivation to do it because I felt like it was something attainable. I look at some of the other creative outlets out there, and very few of them I could see myself actually doing because I just didn't think I could do any of them. But with being a YouTuber, that was something that I felt that with enough time and effort, I could actually achieve. And you know, I look around the entire community and see all these creators celebrating their 10-year anniversaries, and while it's still obviously not the same thing as spending 10 years producing content, it has made me realize that 2024 marks my 10-year anniversary of being a viewer on this site. Around this time, a decade ago, was the first time that I discovered YouTube. And while the story of how I found the site is one that I would like to save for a video that I'm hoping to make later this year, fingers crossed, the excitement that I had about the site has never really gone away. In those 10 years, even when I did eventually start making my own content as a hobby, even now as I type and say these words to you, I've always had being a YouTuber as my dream job, and it all comes back to the community, it all comes back to the creators, it all comes back to you. It's not called YouTube for no reason. Everyone who uses this site solely as a way to express themselves and their interests, as well as people watching and supporting that type of content, all of you are responsible for inspiring millions of people around the world and showing that with enough passion, content creation in and of itself is its own art form. To all the creators, thank you. To all the viewers, thank you. And also, I really should have said this earlier, but thank you Neat on the Rocks for making this video and inspiring me in a way that you most likely did not intend. But I mean, isn't that what art is? No? It's all about the monetary gain? Makes sense.